Someone the Jets were linked to before they traded for Aaron Rodgers now might have the opportunity to come in and replace Aaron Rodgers in Florham Park, New Jersey. ESPN Seth Walder predicts Derek Carr will be the Jets quarterback in 2025. Is it feasible? We'll break it down and much more, all coming up here on a Saturday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk here on this Saturday, March 1st, 2025. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and you are subscribed to the channel. It's completely free and it helps us grow significantly here on the shows. We're aiming to hit 2,000 subscribers by the start of the 2025 NFL Draft. We could do it, guys. We could do it by hitting subscribe, liking the video, sharing the video. It's completely free. Helps us grow significantly. Currently, we are at 1,658 subscribers. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video. Great way to support the show. Appreciate you as always. The paid way to help support the show, though, is contributing to our membership raffle. Throw the leaderboard on thus far. Down below, we wrapped up our February membership raffle last night. Jeffrey R. won 5 of our 6 prizes, and an Austrian Jets fan took home the Bill Parcells signed photo. So it was super fun doing the membership raffle. This is now our third one, and throughout first few shows, we already have some memberships coming in. So if you guys want a ticket into our membership raffle, the prizes are going to be coming out soon. There are some sick prizes. You can get into our membership raffle though. Every $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our raffle, or every gifted membership will get you a ticket in as well. So that's a paid way to help support the show. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe, call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Throw your questions in. We'll get to those. Let's say what's up to everyone. I got Caden in the building. So is this a watch party for the Combine? We can talk about the Combine a little. I have it on in the background. They're still on the running backs. Taj Brooks is up right now. Which is not all that intriguing to me. So I didn't think, I don't want to make a full, hour or so long show about the Combine. But we could certainly mix it in if you guys are interested. Sharon in the building. Patience is golden. Indeed, Sharon. Jack Tuck's Jets are guy in the building at a wrestling tourney again, but that's not stopping me from watching NY Flight Jets Talk. Jack, appreciate all your support as always. And yeah, like I said, guys, keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. This is what we're just gonna get into the main topic right away. A lot of topics I want to touch on today that weren't included in the title, but the main topic, you see it in the title, is potential now of Derek Carr coming to the to the New York Jets. Like I mentioned, he's someone who Jets were in serious talks with before they traded for Aaron Rodgers back in March a few years ago. But now there's talks of him potentially now coming and signing with the Jets in free agency, where he has the opportunity then to compete for the starting job in 2025. That's what I mentioned in the preview. Someone the Jets were really interested in, who's probably going to come in and potentially be that Aaron Rodgers, in the sense that, after Zach Wilson, they needed the veteran to come in with a high floor, and Derek Carr could have been that guy. Now he has the opportunity to potentially come in and clean up Aaron Rodgers' mess. So certainly interesting. A few things I have here on Carr. Number one, most importantly, I don't even think he's going to shake free from New Orleans. I don't. Mickey Loomis was talking to reporters at the Combine, and he essentially said that Derek Carr is going to be their quarterback next season. That said, he's not a trade target. He's someone I think people are gravitated to, because he's someone like Kirk Cousins, in the sense, a veteran name who, if he were to be cut by his team, you could pick him up for real cheap in free agency, has starting experience, and has a higher floor compared to a Justin Fields, a rookie, someone of that nature. So I think that's what the intrigue was with Derek Carr. Overall, though, you guys knew my stance on, potentially bringing in a Derek Carr, a Kirk Cousins. I want someone with upside, and that's why I'm really big on bringing in a Justin Fields, drafting a Kyle McCord, drafting a Will Howard, and then obviously pretty much have Tyrod Taylor be your day one starter, and then see what you can get out of those guys in a few games throughout the season. But Derek Carr overall, I'm not too big on. 33 years old, pretty much hit his ceiling. Like I said, not much upside out of him. Last year, ranked 23rd in the league with 15 touchdown passes, ranked 25th in yards a little over 2,100 and threw 5 interceptions. Like, I don't get why people want Derek Carr. This team is not going anywhere with Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins. I can let you know that right now. They've hit their ceiling before. Their ceiling at this point in their career is an average quarterback, a top 15, a top 17 type guy. You're not getting that in a Justin Fields. Justin Fields ceiling, well, what he's shown, his ceiling is being a franchise guy. I'm not saying he's going to come in right away and be your franchise quarterback, but he certainly showed glimmers of that throughout his first few seasons in the league. So I think the fact that people are, let's just, at that point, if you were going to bring in Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins to replace Aaron Rodgers, you might as well have just paid Aaron Rodgers the money. Because Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins are just a poor man's Aaron Rodgers. Let's call it how it is. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, we have the rumors now starting to heat up that Aaron Rodgers might be going to the Giants. It's actually the wrong route. I didn't have the one downloaded. Sorry, there was a crazy trade idea I want to get into a little while. But the rumor now is that Aaron Rodgers might be going to the Giants. And this is something really interesting. I know a lot of fans are going to probably dismiss the idea right away. Oh, my God, don't let him go to the Giants. Don't let him go to the Giants at all. Oh, my God, that would be so embarrassing if he has any success there. Well, it makes sense overall from the Giants standpoint. I could see why they'd be interested in a Aaron Rodgers, a Derek Carr, or a Kirk Cousins, because it doesn't matter if Brian Daboll and Joe Shane draft a rookie quarterback and he shows some flashes of hope. They need to win at least 8 games this season to keep their job. So they're going for someone in kind of who fits in that, not even the win now mold, someone just a veteran who has a high floor. Aaron Rodgers has a high floor, very low ceiling. Derek Carr, high floor, low ceiling. Kirk Cousins, high floor, low ceiling. So he fits that mold. And now I understand why people are going to be scared of him going to the Giants. Let's be real. For me, my opinion, I'm not going to tell fans how to fan, but this is where I am. Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet. I don't give a crap where he goes next. I really don't. If he goes to the Giants, great. If he goes to the Giants, I don't think we could be scared of him trying to, light him up and show, I don't think we should be scared of him lighting it up with the crosstown rivals. I really don't. I think what you should be rooting for, not necessarily rooting for in that point, but I think there's a better chance of Aaron Rodgers and Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, all going down in flames next season, becoming one of the biggest laughingstocks in all of football, than Aaron Rodgers bringing them to the playoffs. That roster could barely keep the O-line could barely keep Daniel Jones upright, who has at least some sort of athleticism and is able to get out of the pocket and make plays. Could you imagine them trying to block for Aaron Rodgers? Someone who can't move, someone who's just a pure pocket passer at this point in his career. Not to mention they have no weapons whatsoever. Who's he throwing to? Darius Slayton might be a Jet. Probably not going to go back to the Giants. Who's he throwing to? Wan'Dale Robinson? And Tyrone Tracy out of the backfield? Let's be real, guys. We can't be scared of Aaron Rodgers going to the Giants and, some saying he's going to light it up and make the Jets regret everything. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers brings a team to the playoffs next season. I don't regret moving on from him. So I'm standing pat on my take on Aaron Rodgers. It was smart to move off of him at that time. Like I said, he brings the team into the playoffs. Great. My one concern that fans are going to overreact to and say, now this is why we should have kept him. He goes to the Steelers, and we all know the Steelers make the playoffs every year. They get blown out in the first round. Pretty much a yearly tradition now for the past decade plus. My concern is he's going to go to the Steelers, a well-coached football team, and Mike Tomlin, solid overall roster, elite defense, and he's going to go 9-8, and he's going to get into the playoffs. And then all those people, I know there's a lot in here, all those people who wanted Aaron Rodgers back for this season are going to go, look, what is this team doing? I'm out on Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. Fire them after year one. They just moved on from someone who brought them to the playoffs. When the Steelers go to the playoffs, it's because of their defense. Their offense is ranked overall in the 20s for the past 4 to 5 seasons. So please, guys, no matter what Aaron Rodgers does next season, don't let it change your opinion. Don't let it change your opinion. So if you were in my boat of not wanting him back and he lights it up, stand pat on that take. You didn't want him back. If you were in the boat, you wanted him back, and he plays like crap or he lights it up, you stand pat on that take. I don't think, however, we can't look back in hindsight because that's what us Jet fans do, and rightfully so. We haven't made the playoffs in 14 years. Who's to blame? We always look back, and it's if a kick went this way, if a kick bounced off the upright, looking back, if the Jets cut Greg Zuerlein in week 4, what would the record be? Looking back, if you didn't allow 80 yards and penalties, what would the record be? We can't do that stuff anymore with Aaron Rodgers. So, again, a bottom line of that somewhat of a tirade there is don't be concerned of Aaron Rodgers going to the Giants because there is a far more large shot that he goes up in flames alongside Joe Shane, Brian Dable. All of them lose their jobs and they become one of the biggest laughing stocks in all of football. Let Aaron Rodgers be the Giants' headaches. I don't care. Sign him for $10 million, sign him for $15 million next season. Let him be the biggest headache in all of football. Get all the luggage that comes with him, have him going on the McAfee show, blaming Wan'Dale Robinson for running the wrong route in a game they lose 40-5, 40-10, whatever. Come on. He goes there, great. He's their headache now. I don't think we can overreact too much about the potential now. And also, I have to stop myself from doing this, and I think everyone should as well. The fact that Adam Schefter just reported the Giants have interest. Let's be real. There's a chance he goes to the Titans. There's a chance he goes to the Browns. There's a chance he even retires. All he said is they have interest. So let's not take it as boom, right away he's joining the Giants. And even if he does, cool. He's their headache now. That's my message to you guys on Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers to the Titans, yesterday Bleacher Report floated out an absolutely wild, just an insane trade idea that was super, super interesting for me. And I want to get all your thoughts on it. Let me know if you saw it or not. So basically, Bleacher Report floated around a trade idea of the Jets trading to the number 1 overall pick in this year's class, obviously trading up with the Titans, in exchange for Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, the 7th overall pick, and 2 second-rounders. This is a really, really interesting one when it comes to how do I form an opinion on this. Because Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams are 2 players we've just assumed, and I still think it's going to happen. The Jets aren't getting anything. They're cutting them and moving on. That's the assumption with Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. It seems to be around the NFL and certainly in this fan base. That, boom, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, chalk it up as a loss. You don't get anything for them. Just move on. So the fact that you could get anything in exchange for those guys is certainly a huge bonus. A huge bonus when you look at the trade. But at the same time, you're giving up the 7th overall pick, first rounder this year, and 2 second-rounders. And that basically indicates the Jets are drafting Cam Ward and you have a 3-year plan locked in for him. I do not want to draft Cam Ward. I don't. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to take him with the first overall pick. If he falls to 7, I think about it, and then I think about it. You really, really like him. Aaron Glenn and Darren Moose, you're on board. He's going to be our franchise guy. Cool. I'm okay with you taking him at that point. However, if you're trying to trade up and you just want something done right away, you're being impulsive, don't do it. I think Cam Ward's a really solid quarterback. I don't think he's worth trading up for, though. If I'm the Tennessee Titans, I take this deal in a heartbeat. I accept that trade so fast just because it pretty much addresses all their needs. Not all their needs. They can address the rest of the needs during the draft when they pick up that extra capital, but even making that trade that addresses 2 full needs. Aaron Rodgers, boom, quarterback's a need. You don't need to draft a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, you just traded for him. Next up, Davante Adams. You really need to beef up that wide receiver room. Adding Davante Adams, boom, he's a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in this league. 7th overall pick, you got to pick in the top 10. You can, potentially try to add someone, a pass rusher, a Mike Green, a Shamar Stewart, even someone I think is going to go that high. Someone you can add on the defensive side of the ball. And then 2 second-rounders, adding more draft capital. If I'm the Titans, I take that in a heartbeat. If I'm the Jets, I don't do that. I could see why people would like it because, again, I mentioned it when I first saw it was you get something at least in exchange for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, and it just eliminates the foregone conclusion of the Jets are cutting them, they're not getting anything in return. Chalk it up as a bad deal. So that's why I think people could be like, oh, do it because you're getting something for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. But at the same time, it means you're most likely taking Cam Ward, giving up 2 second-round picks as well. I don't think it's worth it to move up to 1. I don't want to move up to 1 in general. Because Cam Ward, I don't think is worthy of trading up for. Abdul Carter's, again, don't think he's worth trading up for. Same with Travis Hunter. There's no player I would trade up for in this year's draft. unless the package is just too hard to pass up on. So what I say is no to this deal. I really, really like the thinking overall from the NFL staff at Bleacher Report. I really, really do. So interesting trade proposal, but if I'm the Jets, ultimately I say no. So that's where I am on that. Appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It's completely free. It helps us grow significantly. If you guys want to call into the show and float out your thoughts, all things Jets, all things NFL, you can do so by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions flowing. I'll get to those if you want, and then call in. Like I said, pinned comment at the top of the chat. A few more topics to get into now here before we get into your questions. Next up, NFL Insider, NFL and Jets Insider, Zach Rosenblatt on his podcast Flight Deck with Tim McMaster, revealed of the Badlands Network as well. He revealed that the Jets and Jamien Sherwood now have mutual interest in trying to work out an extension. And this is really, really interesting topic because Jamien Sherwood is someone I'm a huge fan of. I'm a big Jamien Sherwood fan. I think he's a homegrown guy. You got to bring back someone who you drafted, took him from the safety position, transitioned him into a linebacker, and I think he ranked third in tackles last year. He was a top 5 linebacker in all of football pretty much overall. And the thing is, a lot of people are going to say, well, he's a scheme-dependent type guy. When the scheme is right, he thrives, and that's what he's shown. Overall with Jamien Sherwood, he fit that Ober Saleh type scheme. And that's what I think ultimately led him to have success last season. Because first few years of his career was, oh my God, this is going to be the year where Jamien Sherwood explodes. Next year, this is going to be the year where Jamien Sherwood explodes. He finally had that crazy explosion last season, and he's a homegrown talent. Here's what I'll say. I am tired of letting our homegrown guys walk. Bryce Huff, someone who I understand he didn't do much this past season, but watching him walk and barely get anything in exchange for him was just sad. Just sad. Someone who was an undrafted free agent, someone you signed who had double-digit sacks in 2023, watching him walk was sad. Jamien Sherwood, I think if you let him walk, he's going to come back and be an elite linebacker again next season. My prediction is I think he goes to San Francisco with the 49ers. Overall, though, if you're the Jets, I think you do everything you can to keep him. 3 years, $30 million, so be it. So be it. 3 years, $30 million, I think that's what you could pay Jamien Sherwood because he is an elite linebacker who you drafted and you developed him. Not to mention, linebacker depth it's getting slim. Now there's talks about Quincy Williams potentially being on the trade block. It's a contract year for him. C.J. Mosley might retire. Who are you looking at then? Shaz Surratt, Zaire Barnes, who've barely shown they're able to put together anything? You do everything you can, in my opinion, to resign Jamien Sherwood. And again, some are going to say he might not fit the scheme. Well, at that point, if he's such a great player, he should be able to adapt to a new scheme. I think a player to look out for at the linebacker position who was just cut by the Lions is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I think that's how you say it, Jalen Maybin Reeves. I think it's Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, the linebacker from Detroit, who they just moved on from. I listen to the Amon of the St. Brown Brothers podcast every week. Amon-Ra is always talking about how great of a leader he is, how great of a locker room guy he is. Provides some linebacker depth as a special teams ace, president of the NFLPA. He's a name to look out for. But overall, is he going to come in and effectively replace Jamien Sherwood? No, because Jamien Sherwood's a top 5 linebacker. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is a backup. I think you do everything you can when it comes to throwing the bag at Jamien Sherwood to pay him and keep him here for the long-term future. It's really, really cool to see these homegrown guys, especially later round picks. Like, it's going to be great when we see Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, those guys hopefully at least get extended with the Jets. But it's going to be like, hey, these are first-round premium guys. You expect them to do this. I really like when these day 3 type guys, especially a guy like Jamien Sherwood, who has this crazy story, played safety at Auburn, had to transition to linebacker at the NFL level. C.J. Mosley played a huge part of his success alongside Quincy Williams' development too. I would love if you could just bring him back. 3 years, $30 million, so be it. So be it. I hope he fits the scheme. I hope he's able to adapt. I hope he has a great conversation with Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji for sure. And Steve Wilkes, obviously, because he's going to be the defensive player. But if you can get him he's able to fit the aggressive Steve Wilkes scheme of, able to be quick downhill, stop the run, aggressive blitzer, then you keep Jamien Sherwood because I'm really, really high on him and I want him here next season. So that's where I am on Jamien. Next up here, before we get to your questions and take your calls, Matt Miller now comes out as the second analyst from ESPN to link Shedeur Sanders to the Jets as a good fit. And the reason that Matt Miller laid out Shedeur Sanders as a great fit is interesting. He basically spoke about how he's grown up in the bright lights. He's played in the bright lights. He could handle the media market for sure. And all I've seen from Shedeur Sanders is a great kid, a great guy, someone who he's a leader and doesn't necessarily have the same headache as he doesn't come with the same headache as his dad. That makes sense. Like, he comes with his dad, obviously. Like, his dad is going to be a piece of luggage that might deter some teams from drafting him, but he is not he doesn't have the same ego, so to speak, as his dad. He seems like a nice guy a great guy, really, from everything that we've heard. So I'm big on Shedeur Sanders from like a character standpoint for himself. But at the same time, he has he's starting to grow this massive podcast that he has that could be a distraction. His dad, I worry about going on national radio stations when Tyrod Taylor potentially starts off 1-4, talking about how bad of coach how bad coaches Tanner Engstrand and Aaron Glenn are, fire them, they're awful, and put Shedeur in. That's what I worry about. And then you go back to the mentality of one of the main reasons the Jets wanted to move off of Aaron Rodgers, from what we're hearing, is because he is a celebrity quarterback, the whole Parcells mantra. Well, you're getting rid of a celebrity quarterback and replacing him with a more unproven celebrity quarterback. So at that point, it just doesn't make sense to me. No on Shedeur Sanders. And I don't think he's a top 10 first-round type guy. I have a second-round grade on Shedeur. I'm not too high on him. I have a first-round grade on one quarterback, and it's Cam Ward. I don't have a first-round grade on Shedeur Sanders. I don't want to draft him because of the headache, and I just don't think he's a top 10 guy. Holds onto the ball for way too long. That crazy, crazy athlete. The whole thing of, his dad telling him, hold on to the ball and take sacks. Don't throw it away so it hurts your completion percentage. That's what concerns me there. So that's where I am on the latest Jets news. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. You are subscribed to the channel. Keep the questions. Keep the questions coming. Get to those. Call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. June, Fields was showing franchise quarterback potential. What? Okay, I'll explain it to you right now. He's improved every single year especially in the Bears. I'm going to focus on his Bears tenure because what he did with the Steelers this past season speaks for itself. 4-2, was very, very mobile, able to get out of the pocket and make plays. I'm not saying Fields is a perfect quarterback. Let's be clear. I'm not saying Fields is a perfect quarterback. I'm not saying he is a franchise guy. What I'm saying is he showed that glimmer of hope that he has the upside, he has the potential to maybe be a guy who's more than just a traditional bridge option and has that little bit, there's some unknown there compared to you signing Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins and knowing, yes, there's a high floor. There's a higher floor in those guys than Justin Fields. But you also know where the ceiling is, and that's an average guy. We don't know where Justin Fields' ceiling is. He is in the untapped potential in that sense. Proved every year with incompetent coaching with the Bears. Made something out of nothing with those awful weapons he had. He had no weapons in Chicago. That's where I am on Justin Fields. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback by any means. What I'm saying is he has that unknown. He has that potential that a lot of the other veteran options don't. June, what if Ward becomes the next Daniels? So be it. I think you do your own evaluation on Ward. If you think he has the potential to be the next Daniels, then I'm sure the Jets are going to take him. But if not, passed up on him. That's the thing. Like, whoever the Jets, if they pass up on Ward and he is the next Daniels, it's going to be looking back in hindsight, blah, blah, blah. And then it's the whole thing, what if the Jets had a franchise quarterback? What if? That's the thing. There's too many what ifs. So if Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji do their own evaluation on Cam Ward and they think he's going to be the next Jaden Daniels and they are in love with him, then I'm sure they'll take him. If not, you got to trust the process. That's where I am. Miguel in the building. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in for sure. Tony the GM, Aller, Klubnik, Green, King, Sellers, Lagway, Raiola, Manning, Nico. I don't even know. I'm still working on the last name there. Daniels, Nussmeier, all better than any 25 quarterback. I'd say Aller, Klubnik, Sellers, Raiola, and Nico. And not Nico, excuse me, Garrett are best. I haven't seen anything at Arch. I can't touch on that really. Raiola, He's shown some flashes. I wouldn't say he's better than Cam Ward though. And then Nico, I don't even think Nico's going to come out next year. I think he could benefit from staying in college for not only this year but the season after as well because he has some eligibility years left. Jimmy, Connor, what do you mean by doing everything to keep him? What I mean is giving him. He asks for $10 million a year. I think that's a fair price for him. Maybe slight of an overpay. You do it because you get that. For example, you pay him a little more because you developed him here. You grew him here. He's someone you drafted and you developed and turned him into an elite linebacker. In the sense, okay, I'd be willing to give him $5 or so million more than maybe the 49ers or the Falcons in the sense that there's no hometown discount. I don't think that's a thing anymore really in the NFL. There's not a hometown discount. So if he says, hey, you give me $5 million more, I'll stay here, then you do it. You try to convince him at a reasonable rate. How is he going to fit this game? Checks that box, in my opinion. He wants 5. He wants 3 for 30. Then I do it. When he starts asking for 3 for 35, 3 for 40, that's where I cut the talks off. But at a reasonable rate, you try to do everything you can to keep Jamien Sherwood, if that makes sense. Sharon Seinfeld's draft McCord in the 4th. If he's still there. If you draft McCord, it's going to have to be in the 2nd or 3rd. He's going at some point on day 2. But if he falls into the 4th, I agree 1,000%. You take him. Caden, Dart, Fields, McCord. Caden, have you called in before? I don't know if you've called in. If you're interested, call in. We could talk Jackson Dart because I know you're very big on Jackson Dart in the comments. And I can't keep throwing my same Dart take out there. People are just going to stop tuning in because it's super repetitive. And I say it all the time. So I'm not going to reiterate it now, but you know my thoughts on this. You want to talk some Jackson Dart? Call one of the show, Caden. I would love to see what you have to say on the air. Jets need a win now or everyone going to get traded. Not true by any means. In the sense that young guys, a lot of players are up. A lot of players have their contracts up. And while Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji said the team is built to win now, it's not the case. You have a lot of holes. So the players know that. So I don't think that's the case at all. I think the players know that it's not the same. You're not entering this year with the same hype as 2023, 2024 in the sense it's the roster is built all in win now type mode. I don't think the players have that same feeling as they did the first 2 seasons. Barney Miller, draft QB1 Adrian Martinez, no draft or trade needed. Barney, another one. Please call into the show so we could talk Adrian Martinez. We've seen nothing out of him at the NFL level. He's a practice squad guy at best. No ball security, injuries. No thank you on Adrian Martinez. Tony, retaining talent is what builds rosters. Sherwood and Eccles are must sign. Eccles is another one. 2 for 10, do it. He could be that guy you're looking for to come in and play opposite Sauce Gardner right away. You re-sign Eccles and Sherwood at any rate. That's what I've been saying. Agree 1,000% there. Jimmy, Sala and Brick developed him. Glenn might not like him. That's why I said if he fits the scheme, you do everything you can to keep him. If he fits the Steve Wilkes, Aaron Glenn of, that aggressive blitzing type scheme, you do everything you can to keep him, in my opinion. Miguel, who should be on the Jets' radar in free agency? We'll throw out a few names. Javon Holland, if he doesn't get tagged. Justin Reed, Darius Slayton, Tim Patrick, Levi Onwuzurike, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett. Let me think of another really good one. Keenan Allen at the wide receiver position. Those are a few names to look out for. Free agency's coming in like a little less than 2 weeks, so we'll ramp up with free agency coverage for sure. Keep the questions coming. Appreciate all your support. Smash the like, subscribe. Get to the rest of your questions. If you guys want to call into the show, you could do so by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Can't thank you enough for all your support. Let's go over to the phone lines. Our guy, June the GM, on the line. June the GM, you're on NY Flight Jets Talk.
You've been acting up, Connor. You've been acting up. You were promoting JJ earlier. That broke my heart.
But I say he's a good caller. I picked you to win, June, by the way. I have you winning. I have you. No, I'm just saying JJ's a great caller. You guys are both great. It's great. It's a great 512. Oh, you never seen him?
I never saw him before. And remember, once again, I'm new to the Jake Asper shop.
You just started a few weeks exactly.
Right, I'm grateful.
Yeah, it's a great 5-12 matchup. I was just saying JJ is someone who's called for a long time and got a lot of hate for the negative Jets talk, but he's a great caller. Right. It's a great 5-12 matchup. I have you taking it home.
I think in our NFL world, I think we need the bad callers, the good callers, the crazy
Yep.
callers. It just
Yeah.
makes it fun, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all fun. And that's
For
why
sure.
my name's June the GM, because I feel that everyone acts like they're a GM. We all do it. Behind
sure.
closed doors, we're the GM. So I did want to talk about one of your takes last week about Sanders. Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. He holds on to the ball. I don't know how truthful that is about him taking the sack for completion percent. I don't know who put that out there. That sounds a little kind of weird. You got to remember, Deion Sanders, yes, a little extra swag on him, but he's a Hall of Fame player. Probably the top two in his position in the history of sports. Shit, he deserves to walk around like he don't give a damn.
A dual sport athlete too, playing professional baseball, playing
How
professional
about
football.
this? How about this?
Yeah.
The only player in history in the same day to play a football game and a baseball game.
Take a helicopter, leave a football game early to take a helicopter to Atlanta.
I'm sorry, Connor. If I did that, I might be a little bit, feeling myself too. So the thing about Sanders is this. And not to argue, I just want to try to give you a different perspective to see what you think about this. You think about the pressure he had on him, being that his father's Deion Sanders, right? It's one thing that that's your father and you playing at, I don't know, Mississippi State, and Deion takes over Colorado. No, Deion says, I'm going to take over Colorado, and guess what? I'm bringing my son. So imagine the pressure of knowing.
It was Jackson State, too. It was a really, really small school, HBCU, that, no one really knew of.
Now, first year, they take over a team that was 1-11 in 2020. We're not talking 15 years. 2022, they were 1-11. I mean, I wouldn't walk on. That's how bad they were, and I can't play football no more. So he takes over, go 4-8 the first year, showed a little bit of promise. Then they go out there and almost make the playoff if they would have not lost that stupid ass game towards the end of the season, right? They were getting talked about making a playoff. Yes, the Standards hold on to the ball a little bit longer, yes. But I think that can be coached out of him with proper coaching. Think about the quick release and the placement of the ball when he throws it. But these are two things that people don't really talk about, ball placement. Because a lot of times when receivers are running, you notice Derek Carr is one of them. If that quarterback sets you up, like the way Olave got set up and he almost died, okay? Sanders has beautiful ball placement, throws a pretty ball, has a quick release, and see the perfect prospect? Of course not. But he's deserving of a first-round pick. 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. What else you want, Connor? What do you want, Connor?
I'll tell you what I want. I want him to show he's able to have success in a pro-level offensive scheme. I want him to work on his eye discipline so he doesn't stare receivers down before he takes 4 seconds to get the ball out of his hands and throw it to them.
It's not about holding the ball. How about running for your life? Did you see the offensive line at Colorado? Did you see that?
Oh, it wasn't great.
They haven't had a good running back since he's been there. They have no running game, no offensive line, and he still put up those numbers. I like him, Connor. I'm sorry.
I like him too, but he also had one of the best wide receiver cores in all of football, college football, and Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, LeJonte Wester, Will Shepard, 4 draftable guys.
Imagine you put him at you something. How do you think Sanders would have looked if he would have played probably for, I don't know, maybe if he would have been in Alabama? You think he would have had a massive year? Of course. Imagine him in Alabama. Imagine him in Ohio State. My God.
He would have collapsed in Ohio State because he can't run a pro level scheme. Chip Kelly would have never allowed him to transfer there.
Well, how do you know he can't run a pro level scheme? How?
Because he hasn't. He hasn't. In his whole college career, he hasn't. Colorado provides isolated quarterback friendly reads and they scheme receivers open.
They all do. So does Lane Kiffin down there.
Yeah, that's why I don't like Jack. That's one of the main reasons I don't like Jackson Dart.
But
and that's why I like Will Howard so much. Chip Kelly, he's not with the Ohio State anymore. He's with the Raiders now.
Right, of
ran
course.
a pro-level scheme at Ohio State. Will Howard, I have him ahead of Shedeur Sanders for several reasons.
Oh, Connor.
I know, June.
Connor. Where's your parents at? I want to talk to your parents. This is getting extra. Listen, I like Will. Let's not go crazy. He's not better than no damn Sanders, okay? I do like Will Howard, though. Look, do I want to trade a farm away? I don't, unless we know for a fact that they in love with him. I don't think
Exactly.
any prospect. I don't think they're in love with any prospect. I think it would be a bold move, right, to move up and draft a quarterback being their first year. They might get killed. They might get out. If it don't work, they're out the league by the second year.
The
Second year.
quarterback?
No. I'm talking about
Oh,
if
I was
Muji
about
and
to say,
Ken draft a
yeah,
quarterback and he fails by year 2, they looking for their heads. That's
yeah.
too much of a risk.
That's why I said you're locked into a 3-year plan. So, like, you
Right.
have to be in love with
You
Shedeur
have
Cam
to.
or whoever you're drafting in the
Because
first round.
you're tying your career to the quarterback. Just like people don't understand. Everybody was crying about Joe Douglas. Oh, he built a great roster. He did, but he failed in the biggest thing you can fail in is the quarterback. He drafted Zach Wilson at the end of the day. That set us back. That hurt us. That's how Rodgers got here and everything else. So let's get that out the way. When you miss on a quarterback as a GM, that can set your franchise back 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, also, and again, one thing I want to add here on Douglas, I don't care if you put your team in the best position to win. This is what I was saying all offseason. You eventually have to win. You can talk about the great moves he made, the trades he orchestrated, the 2 good drafts he had, the free agent signings. When all said and done, he ended his tenure 32-68. You just can't defend that record.
No,
you can't.
you can't. Listen, at the end of the day, look, the game, any sport, basketball, football, baseball, golf, you're not in it just to play. You're in it to win championships. I have faith in Muji and Glenn. This is what a new prospect has garnered my attention. I haven't spoken. First day I'm going to speak about him. I like the kid. Will Johnson's looking pretty good for Michigan. Pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't watch too much. I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Didn't watch too much Michigan football this year because it's Michigan.
Are you a Billy Bowman guy?
I am.
Safety?
I am, and he's an aggressive, punishing hitter too.
He's gonna fit the Wilkes scheme. Someone who's gonna be able to get downhill quickly. You can run a safety blitz with him, stop the run.
Right. A lot of similarities to Jamal Adams, but a better cover.
Yeah. He's not as much of a ball hawk, though. Like Jamal Adams, I remember, Jamal Adams could get you 10 interceptions in a season if he really needed to in basketball.
Well, he never did. He never did.
Exactly. That's ultimately why he got traded a few years in, because you drafted
but
him.
Bowman has this innate gift to always always make a big play in a pivotal moment.
He just has a knack for being a big hitter.
That's what my Sooners had. We had a good defense, but our offense just left us out to dry. But this is what I'm thinking, right? I was looking at Will Johnson. I said to myself, wow, I said, this kid has a lot of pick sixes, gets a lot of interceptions, makes a lot of big time tackles. I know he lost a little bit of steam because obviously he didn't play last year, injuries. But can you blame him when the team sucks? I wouldn't want to risk my future playing, rest up the body, let me get all right. Imagine pairing him up. Because let's get this out the way. I think Carter's gone by the time we draft.
He is. He's gonna.
I think Mason Graham's gone by the time we draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I obviously Hunter. Goodbye. We didn't even gonna smell his cologne on. He's gone. Okay. I believe both quarterbacks will be gone, regardless if we like them or not. I believe they're gonna be gone. Now you're looking at who's worth that 7th pick. I don't want to go wide receiver. I don't want.
Why?
I'm not sold on the Kim McMillan's speed. I'm not sold on his speed. I'm gonna be.
He doesn't win with speed though.
No, I know. He's a precise route runner, great hands, can catch the ball, contest it. But I don't want him at 7. I just don't. If we trade back 10 to 14 range, just like Warren, because I'm a Warren fan, I'll take him 10 to 14 range. At 7 though, can you imagine how hard it will be to throw the ball on 2 top end corners like Will Johnson and Sauce Gardner? Could you imagine what that can do? You can leave him on one-on-one coverage because Glenn likes to play like that. I don't know what our new defense coordinator is going to play, but picture 2 shutdown corners on the outside, how that frees up, how that puts pressure on the quarterback because he don't got nowhere to throw the ball, and we need help at the defensive line, obviously. I don't care where we draft them. In the first 3 drafts, the first 3 rounds, we have to pick up a defensive lineman who can stop.
Agreed, 1,000%. What I'll say this on Will Johnson. I like him too. Corner at 7, cornerback 2 at 7 is a little dicey. I take McMillan over Johnson.
He's only quarterback 2 because we have a quarterback 1, a corner 1. But if we didn't have Sauce, he's a CB1.
Agreed. Yeah, the toe injuries scare me a little. I like the way overall, though. I like his back pedal, how he uses his size, 6'2", 225. Great build overall for a a corner. So I like Will Johnson. At that point, though, like Tim McMillan's on the board. I think you fill that wide receiver 2 gap and find someone who's able to
I
come
won't
in.
be mad. Look, I won't be slamming something. I won't be mad. It's not like we drafted some, third round prospect. I won't be mad we grabbed the Kim McMillan. I also won't be mad if we trade back to, like I said, 10 to 14 range,
Yeah.
pick up another third or fourth rounder because we need draft picks. We need to stack the team.
Yeah.
I also about Brees Hall. This is my favorite Brees Hall. Yeah. I heard what you said the other day. And I've not thought about
you don't want to trade him?
Here's the thing. Here's my fear, right?
Mm.
If it's any year that we do trade him, it's this year that is stacked with a plethora of running backs. I mean, my God, I was watching the combine a little while ago before I tuned in.
Yeah.
And I mean, my God, 1,300 yards for this back, 14 for this, 15 for this. I'm a big Caleb Johnson fan from Iowa. My God, I love him. I mean,
you have everything. Like I was watching them too when they were doing I was watching the 40s, and then I was doing I forgot what it's called, where the guy they kind of evade. They have to show shuffle. They have to show their agility and stuff. And like just not only looking at those guys, watching film on them, you have every single build. You have the smaller speedsters like Quinshon Judkins, who's 6 foot, 195 pounds. I love Judkins. And then you have the power backs like Ashton Genty, who could beat you with his elusiveness, and he can beat you with his power at 5'9", 215 pounds. Such a compact frame, you can't bring him down. So you get so many different, just builds in these running backs, and it's such a deep class. So
I'll tell you what I look at when I look at players, especially from the running back position. I've been blessed enough to watch a lot of college football because, like I said, I'm a Sooner fan. I always have them on. I don't miss games. I like to see how they play in big games. And let me tell you a running back that's impressive. He's not getting a lot of light. Nobody's talking about him. I don't think running back is a position of need. I'll get back to Hall. But I like the kid Neal from Kansas University.
Devin Neal. Yep.
He plays like a grown man. When I'm telling you, when the game was on the line, Kansas had nobody but him. That's all they had in a good dual threat quarterback. Forgot his name, but Neal's a grown man, plays downhill, can catch out the backfield. I won't be mad we grab Neal in the third or fourth round if he's around, just lingering around. Now with the Hall thing, right? Okay. Here's my fear with Hall. We can both agree that he's never had the right situation, right? Since he's been drafted by us. In terms of the offensive line has been suspect for quite some time. The play calling has been atrocious.
Yes.
Right? So now we say to ourselves, okay, yeah, but he still didn't. Has there been times that he has shown us glimmers of greatness? There has, right? Before the knee injury. Since the knee injury, I can't lie, he does seem a little bit tentative, like as if something's not totally healed, as if he's scared to hit the hole the way he was, but also we didn't use him right. The one game we threw the beautiful fade pass to him, that Rodgers hit him, the beautiful catch in the end zone. He has that potential. Here's my fear with him. You remember Saquon Barkley, when he was in New York, was consistently hurt. He was just always hurt. Went through a period of 2 to 3 years, but he's just hurt. Giants basically said, hey man, we don't think you're worth that much. Go test the market. He finally healed up. Went down to Philly with a real offensive line and looks like the Saquon Barkley that came out of Penn State that we all expected.
Yeah.
If we trade him, we have to get a lot of value. I would rather, this is an issue I'd rather deal with later. I'd rather keep him. Give him the line that he's never had, the correct play call that he hasn't had, because Detroit, I have faith in Tanner that is not the same as Johnson, but a similar type of system where there's a lot going on. I think the offense would fit him. Let's see what he got this year, right? And hey, let's say he has a crazy year and he asks for a big check. We either give it to him or not, it don't matter. But I feel like he's due for a big year. And I've always liked Hall. I've always liked Brees coming out of college.
Yeah.
State. He used to play against my Sooners all the time in the Big 12 before my dumbass team went to the damn SEC where all the horses are at and we can't compete no more. But does it really hurt us keeping him to see what he got left in the tank?
It does, because then you take the significant risk of, which even if he has a great year, I don't think he's getting paid. You take the risk of then having a second round pick, someone you drafted who, yes, has showed the glimmer of hope, but is never consistently on a consistent basis showcased. He's an elite running back. You take the risk of, again, even if I think he's a goner no matter what. You take that risk in the scenario, you trying to either just let him walk or hang on by a threatening franchise tag on for the next 2 seasons instead of just getting and recouping what you got him for. You drafted him in the second round, a third and a 5, pretty much recouping the same value there. I would be okay with that. So again,
I don't think that this year, because of the massive amounts of great running backs in which we just spoke about, I don't know if a team would be willing to give us a 3 and a 5. But you really think of it, if it's one year, you can just relax. It's this year. Grab a running back anywhere.
That's why I said I don't think you're going to get a 3 and a 5. That's why I said if some team leaves you gives you a 3 and a 5, you take it and run.
I mean, and this year, like I said, I'd rather keep them. But if you're going to do that move, this is the year to do it because I'm so impressed with so many running backs this year. I mean, you got the 2 in Ohio State. You got the kid Genty. You got the kid Donovan Everett that didn't do much, but he still is gifted. You know, you got
he's undrafted guy though. He's an undrafted guy,
but he has talent. He has talent. A lot of times in the NFL, some kids' games transition better to the NFL than they do in college, especially if you're underutilized. That's why I'm looking forward to see how Sanders does, how Cam does. I can tell you this much. It don't matter who we like in the draft. It doesn't matter what running backs we like, tight. Nothing matters. We got to get the quarterback position right. We have been suffering with bad quarterback play since the days of Mark Sanchez, the early Mark Sanchez and Chad Pennington. If we don't nail this quarterback, Connor, I'm going to tell you now it's going to be an issue. We have to figure it out. If it's Justin Fields, hey, you think he got some potential? Then give him the bag, let him come down. Although I think it's going to ask for more than $10 million a year. I'm going to tell you now. We're gonna spend a little bit of money.
He's not getting it though. That's the thing. He can ask. I can ask to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. It doesn't mean I'm gonna get it. Like he can ask for $10 million a year. Nobody is giving that to him.
You think 2 years? 17.
He's gonna want a 1-year deal though, because he's someone who's very, very confident in his own play, and he's gonna want to gamble on himself in the sense of he would take, I think, $6 to $8 million on a 1-year deal. If it's guaranteed, he will get the day one starting job, because in that scenario, let's say he does what Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold have done on all these crazy 1-year deals, and then boom, he gets paid a multi-year deal for over $100 million in a few seasons.
Let me paint a scenario for you. He comes down, we grab him, he comes out of New York, has a massive year. Do we let him walk, give him a contract in a year when all the top so-called quarterbacks are coming out next year? What happens then? That's a big dilemma.
You extend him. You extend him.
Imagine that. That's
you can still extend him and draft a guy. You can still do that.
Who you like in the next? Because everybody keeps talking about, the next class is better. They always say that and it never pans out. You just don't know, especially quarterback. You just don't know who's going to pan out. Because think about this. It took Baker 3 teams. Finally, he's in the right situation. He's excelling.
It took Darnold 6 years. Yeah.
Exactly. And nobody, I don't want to hear nothing. There's not one Jet fan in existence that could tell me that they thought Sam Darnold was going to be what he is now in Minnesota.
Yeah. No one.
So who's your favorite quarterback next year that you see?
So early. I don't know. I don't watch college football, so
you don't watch college, Connor?
Not really. I'm not too big on college football. The guys I've watched are Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier. Because there were talks of them potentially coming out this year. I'd put Aller 1. I'd put probably Nussmeier 1, Aller 2, Klubnik 3 among those 3 guys. But I think they're really, really legit. I like Lenora Sellers from South Carolina as well.
I like him a lot.
The little I've seen out of him, and then the Manning talk needs to stop. We haven't seen one. Yeah, we've seen nothing out of him. So I don't think there's a chance he doesn't even come out. And same with Nico. We haven't seen enough. I think there's a chance he could stay in college again next season. So I think like those.
I love the way Nico looks. He's young. Another year. I'm gonna give you a name. Okay, then I'll jump off for the next Hawk to talk. I'm gonna give you a name, and when you got time, when Connor has time, I know Connor's a busy young man. Check him out. He's our new quarterback for Oklahoma, Mateer. Okay, he's a transfer from Washington State, dual threat quarterback. He's so nasty that his offensive coordinator from Washington came over with him to Oklahoma. He said, "Yo, I'm following you wherever you go." Mateer. Okay, quarterback for Oklahoma, transfer from Washington State. Check out his highlights. You let me know what you think. The kid is nasty.
I will do, June. Appreciate the call as always, my man. Ladies and gentlemen, June the GM checking in here on the program. Great call as always. Appreciate June's support. Appreciate all your support. We'll go back to your calls in a little while. If you want to call into the show, you can do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions coming. We can get to a few of those. Taylor says 3 spots that important when it comes to a trade back. 1,000%. If you could recoup extra draft capital, if you could pick up a third, potentially even a second, if there's if Mason Graham's on the board and someone's coming up for him, it is that important because this team has a lot of holes to fill and they need a lot of draft capital. So it is important. Sharon trade back to 12, get an extra second, and get Warren, Watson, Tyreek Williams, the 3 starters. I love that plan. Sharon, I know you and I are pretty much in lockstep when it comes to draft plans, so I would love that. I'm big on Warren, Watson, Tyreek Williams. Caden, Tez Johnson's 5'9" and weighs 154. That's my problem with Ted Johnson. Does he actually weigh 154 pounds? Did he weigh in yet? On Oregon's site, they have him. Let me check my draft guide here quickly. Oregon's site, they have him listed at 165. Wow. He weighed in at 154 pounds. That is a massive turnoff. A massive turnoff. Wow. Because he's someone I like. He's quick. He's twitchy. Really explosive and dynamic after the catch. Very versatile. Could be the next punt returner. Really versatile on special teams as well. There's some value there. But 154. I'm not rostering anyone below 185 pounds as a wide receiver. 154 pounds at 5'9" is crazy. Wow. I have the combine on in the back, but obviously I can't pay attention closely. It looks like Quinn Ewers is pretty much going to start things off for the quarterback. So if you guys got any updates, throw them in the chat. Appreciate you guys as always. Smash the like, subscribe, keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's go back to the phone lines. Indy Jets is on the line. Indy Jets, you're on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Yeah, Connor. I tried to get on with the GM, but you
sorry, I didn't see you. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to put you in the general manager's role right now. Okay, you get hired as the New York Jets general manager. Okay, and if I tell you that drafting a quarterback in the top 5 will guarantee you 83% that you will not win a Super Bowl, would you do it?
No.
Okay, now that's over the lifetime of the NFL. Now, in the last 20 years, if I guaranteed you 100% that you would not win a Super Bowl by drafting a quarterback in the top 5, would you do it?
No, because you need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl first off, and the goal is that's why they want to bring Aaron Rodgers back.
So my point is that I'm making is we do not need to move up to go get Cam. Because that literally will guarantee you that we will not win a Super Bowl.
It wouldn't guarantee you that, Indy Jets, but it certainly isn't trending in that direction.
It's not a trend. I'm saying statistically, in 20 years, it hasn't been done one time, and it's only been done by 4 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to win a Super Bowl. It drafted in the top 5. There's only been 4 quarterbacks that's ever won a Super Bowl drafted in the top 5. Think about that.
Yeah.
So why would you set yourself up for failure? I mean, the percentages do not. I mean, if you're a numbers guy, the percentages do not favor you to win a Super Bowl if you have to move up and draft a quarterback in the top 5.
Yeah, but I think the main thing, Indy, is I don't think NFL GMs are paying a really, really close attention to those numbers. What these GMs do is they do their own evaluation on all these guys. And
yes, I know. I realize that. I realize that they do their own evaluations, and that's why they only have jobs for 4 or 5 years or 6 years. And next, where they don't have, they're constantly trying to change what reality is, and reality says you're not going to. Sorry, I've got my grandson.
Oh, you're all good. You're all good.
But he, and he loves the Jake Asman show. So I'm going to get him turned on to the Connor show now too.
I appreciate it.
But why do you always want to reinvent the wheel? Why do we as Jets fans, and we're always saying, well, it hasn't been done, but we can do it. Well, we don't, because there's 32 other teams who have proven that you draft a quarterback in the first 5 picks, you will not win a Super Bowl. Well, if 32 other teams do it or can't do it, why do you think we can?
I don't. Here's the thing. Again, I don't think when GMs are trying to make a draft pick, like I said, they're not looking at those numbers. I'm not saying the Jets by drafting Cam Ward is going to change that trend and the Jets are going to win a Super Bowl with Cam Ward. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji want to draft Cam Ward. They're not looking at those numbers at all. They're
And
doing
it
their
should
own
be though.
evaluation. What?
They should be.
They should be, but at the same time, they're not thinking, "Oh my God, look what they've done." Aaron Glenn's whole mentality, which I don't necessarily agree with, in that what you're saying is, if 31 other teams can't do it, why should the Jets be able to do it? Aaron Glenn's and Darren Mushi's mentality is probably, why can't we do it? And then the answer is the numbers. However, I think they're trying to come in and see. It's hard to answer that because overall, like, I'm not saying I want Cam Ward. That's a question for someone who wants Cam Ward. I don't want Cam Ward. I don't want
Yeah.
to draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds this year. So
No,
it's not
I'm with you. You and I are on the same page
yeah.
as far as drafting quarterback. I'm all in for Ohio State quarterback Howard.
I love Will Howard. Yeah.
I'm one of the very few that actually likes Rourke from IU.
I have him as my. Let's see where I have him. He reminds me. Let me check my board quickly. I have
Like maybe a
him.
5th rounder.
Yeah, I have a 7th round grade on him. I have him as my 11th guy. He's going to be 25 years old in October. Like,
Right. And
yeah,
that maybe that's just a little homer in, from being from Indiana,
yeah,
and taking an IU team who was absolutely atrocious for
yeah.
100 years. And, he lost 2 games this year. He lost to the 2 teams that played in the national championship year. That's pretty good.
Mm.
But I don't think he's going to be an NFL prospect, but I think that we should go with either the 2 Ohio State quarterbacks. You either go after Fields or you go after Howard. One of those 2.
Or both. Like, you
Or
can do
both.
both.
Absolutely. You could literally do both and and succeed. But no, I think those people that want to move up in the draft is just a terrible idea.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, Cam Ward is my quarterback 1. I think he is a good quarterback. He's not worth giving up multiple 1st round and 2nd round picks for, and pretty much locking him into a 3-year plan of, well, this is going to be either the success of the Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji era or the, embarrassing collapse like we've seen for the past 14 years with the Jets. It's going to be one of the 2, and it's not going to be anything in the middle.
And Peyton Manning was the last quarterback drafted in the top 5 to go and win a Super Bowl for the team that drafted him. Think about how long that's been. That's been 26 years. So that tells me that whatever system that doesn't work. It doesn't work to move up and draft a quarterback. You've got to build your team first. We made it to an AFC championship game with a quarterback that threw 12 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Great defense and a solid coach football team. The thing is, there's a reason they didn't make it to the Super Bowl nor win the Super Bowl, because every single team in the NFL, you need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. You need a quarterback to bring you to the Super Bowl. Like, you can make the playoffs. You can win 14 games with Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, with Baker Mayfield. But when push comes to shove, you need a franchise guy to win.
Buffalo's got a franchise quarterback, and they can't seem to do it either. So it's very difficult. Yes. So giving up multiple draft picks, giving up some of your future is not an answer.
For sure. I agree 1,000%. Great numbers. Indy Jets, appreciate the call as always. You got any final thoughts?
No, I'm just, I think that our Jake Asman playoff is not this coming Sunday, but next Sunday.
Nice.
It's me and Neil.
Yes.
So let's try to take Neil out on this one. He's a huge pro Rodgers guy, so it should be pretty easy.
I see. A 14-3 upset, question mark?
Yep, absolutely. But hey, thanks for you giving me your show today. This is the first time I've seen your show, but we're definitely making it regular.
Indy Jets checking in here on the program. Great stuff as always. Appreciate all your support. I think we're going to end on that pretty much. Last chance to get your final questions, comments, thoughts in. Last chance to call into the show an hour here on this Sunday. This Sunday afternoon, back 8:15 p.m. with Tigo. This time it's going to be on his channel. We're going to alternate channels every week. He's going to make the link. He's going to send it to me. He's going to text it to me in a little while. Once he texts me the link, throw it on Twitter, throw it on the YouTube community page. Come hang out with Tigo and I tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on his channel, Talking Jets with Tigo. Like I said, can't thank you guys enough for all your support. Last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in before we wrap up here. So Appreciate you guys as always. Appreciate you. Jeffrey R says, Connor, did you get my email back? Let me check, Jeffrey, because I know I emailed you last night. Thanks so much. I appreciate all the memberships you gave last month, and I'm so happy that you won a lot of the prizes. Because as I said on the show, that as I said on the show, that's what happens when you give 220 memberships. You win all the prizes. Let me check. Let's see. All right, boom. I got it. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. I'll read that afterwards. I can't thank you enough for the 220 memberships last month, but everyone's back to square one now. So now you guys, whether it's Jeffrey who's going to break through again this month with all the raffle tickets, or it's going to be someone else, we're back to square one. So now you guys have the opportunity to set the market straight and start things off on March 1st with a spree of gifted memberships. So if you guys want to get in the raffle today before we wrap, you could do so by contributing a $2.99 super chat or a membership. So every $2.99 is the price of one raffle ticket. So $50 super chat, boom, that gets you X amount of raffle tickets. 50 memberships get you 50 raffle tickets, so on and so forth. So if you want to get in on that for today, this is your last chance to do so. The prizes to come soon for this month. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. As always, back tomorrow. We'll probably have a guest on. Nothing locked in, though. Probably going to be an afternoon show. And then Monday, back in the swing of things with our weekly guest, Nick Faria, Athlon Sports, 8 p.m. joins us in his weekly spot. Tuesday with Gunny Gumby, New York Jets Situation Report, 8 p.m. His weekly spot. Wednesday with Matt O'Leary, his weekly spot, so on and so forth. Isn't possible without you guys smashing the like and subscribing. So I can't thank you enough for all your support. We just hit 1,660 subscribers on this show. Thanks to you guys. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 2,000 by the start of the 2025 NFL Draft. Like I said, can't thank you guys enough for all your support here on the show, and that'll do it for me. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off. JATS, Jets, Jets, Jets.